This week on Waxing the Porpoise, G-Baby and the usual suspect Steve cover 2010's The Ghost Rider, a book adaptation directed by the controversial figure Roman Polanski, and which stars Ewan McGregor, Pierce Brosnan, and Olivia Williams. Between all the political intrigue, deception, manipulation, war crimes, and paranoia, this underseen gem will keep you busy. Join us as we discuss equilibrium shifting vortices, New York Mayor Eric Adams and why he should do less interviews, address the obligatory confusion between this flick, the Nic Cage Ghost Rider, as well as the early 90s PBS kids show Ghost Rider, and because we recorded this a little in advance, we'll finish off with a few favorite classic and deep cut holiday flick recommendations as we skate right on by the season and into the new year. The Porpoises, midnight companions and keen observers, guided this time by Obi-Wan himself, are once again beckoned to follow a mystery wrapped in an enigma, all while we try not to get in over our blowholes. May the phocoena be with us.
He's a ghost, and he writes to us. Ghost Rider.
Let's wax this autobiographical porpoise.
Chase, don't do that.
You see, we working on his brow chakra. We're just in back of the crown chakra.
A weed effect.
Yeah, it's crazy how like creams and stuff can just like enter the skin like transdermally and like have an effect, like a conscious effect. It seems like a weird mechanism. Although I know too, like the ears have their own fucking weird kind of environment going on, like how like sounds and like the way that shit echoes off your brain and through your ear canal can like fuck with your equilibrium and like other governing processes. I don't know if I ever told you this, but you know those like mystery spots? You see them once in a while. I think there's one in Santa Cruz. Mm-hmm. There's one in like Oregon, I think. And then I've seen others, like there's one in Michigan, but it's not like, you know, the mystery spot TM. It's like it was something else, but it's the same kind of premise, like geomagnetic natural anomalies or
geographical oddity.
Yeah. 2 weeks away from everywhere. Yeah, when we first went on, like the dude was like, yeah, this place sometimes it can fuck with people's equilibrium and whatnot, and like you might feel like slightly nauseous for the rest of the day or whatever. And you get in there and it has all these weird, like they take a pool ball that's like tilted on this fucking crazy axis piece of wood at like a 37-degree angle, and you roll it up. Mm-hmm. Like this impossible, and it rolls up and it keeps its momentum. And then like there's like the log where they're like, give me like 8 people and like, you know, of varying heights, and then they align people shortest to tallest. Mm-hmm. And then they put them up on this log and they're like, yep, okay, clearly shortest person, tallest person. Then they have them reverse order. So where the shortest person is now standing where the tallest person was. And then now that shortest person, this woman who's 5'3", appears taller than this dude who's like 6'4", who's now at the other end. And it fucks you up because it's like right in front of you, you know?
Yeah.
There's like no smoke and mirrors. It's like, dude, what's going, like the incline of the hill you're on, whatever. But dude, I shit you not, like 30 minutes into this 1 hour guided tour, and I started getting like weird, like seasickness, like bubble guts, like this vertigo kind of feeling. And I was like, fuck, this is lame. Immediately after that, we were at Santa Cruz. We went to the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, and we went on the fucking the big wooden coaster that fucking jerks you around like crazy. Yeah, and dude, I tossed my cookies on that thing. That vertigo stuck with me, and that ride, like it was like adding orange juice to a dose of mushrooms or something. Like it just potentiated,
weaponized,
intensified. Oh yeah, dude, I was fucked for like 2 days, and now ever since that point, I swear to God, it's like a black and white line. Ever since that point, any kind of motion or like crazy outside of being in a car makes me feel weird. Like I go to Disney, go to like on certain rides, it like fucks with my equilibrium. And like even taking off in a plane, from the time where you start ascending and you're fucking pulling back, all that whole stretch from that until you get to cruising altitude, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna throw up everywhere. I start sweating,
Weird.
getting hot. Yeah, it's really. I wonder if it like fucking burst something in my cochlear passageway or some shit, and it's just like fucked with me ever since. But yeah, long way of saying mystery spot. I mean, it's a gamble, man. I thought I was pretty impervious to those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Even seasickness, I get over pretty quickly. And dude, yeah, it did a real number on me. But there was a lot of weird shit too, like trees growing like fucking sideways and curling and doing all kinds of like weird stuff. Like it's kind of hard, like the sales pitch they have with those guided tours. They really like they're tapping into like that part of your mind that wants to believe in kooky, like unsolved mystery, funky shit. But
fuck, I wonder. Yeah, I'd like to go to one of those places and then really like take a deep dive on what the fuck is going on, because there's got to be some kind of explanation.
There's kind of shades of that when we went over Mount Shasta a little bit. It kind of harkened to like what their whole sales pitch was for the mystery spot, but like kind of one of the things too that we just touched on that I didn't do any background on was like what was it, like iron, like the anomalous like readings near Mount Shasta of like the accumulation of iron ore or some type of like natural feature.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's due to, I wonder if there's like some magnetic ties to that, because the whole thing at Mystery Spot, there was like, it's magnetic. There's these like concentrations of magnetic shit going on in this region of this area. That's why the mystery spot's here. People noticed it in the old days, like shit would do weird stuff when they came to this part of this side of the creek, and then they mapped it out. So, but
yeah,
I don't know enough about it.
I've never been. Definitely sounds interesting though.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really weird. Also, cool. Well, I'm glad your cat's feeling better. It sounds like it's just
yes,
a foregone conclusion. Just waiting for the ink to dry to give you the thumbs up.
Very expensive little fatso.
All right. Before we get into this episode proper, I will restrain myself to one clip that I found that really tickled me, and that I thought you'd get a big kick out of.
From this movie?
No, this is totally unrelated. I'll ask this though: how familiar are you with the current mayor of New York?
Eric Adams?
Yes.
Probably slightly more familiar than most, but not like as much as probably a New Yorker.
Like for the good, what have you heard about him? Good or bad? Incompetent?
Kind of a mix of everything. Like, I feel like at first people liked him more, and then I think more recently I kind of get like a wackier vibe from him.
Yeah, I don't know much about him, but this clip is definitely very wacky. And if this is like a slice into him as a person, it's like, yikes, man. Yeah, without further ado. So this guy I stumbled upon, he's this, I think he's involved with like audio production. Like he knows some of the industry stuff, and he's like a creative type person. And he started ostensibly a podcast, and he uploads clips every once in a while. They're pretty funny. Looking at him on paper, I should hate this guy. It kind of looks like remember that meme, the scumbag Steve?
Oh yeah.
Kind of looks like a variant of him if he got older and started a podcast and tried to become an influencer. But everything that he points out, like slice of life stuff and makes fun of, is really funny, and it's pretty dry. And I thought it might be up your alley. And this was kind of like a fun introduction to, what's his name? Eric Adams?
Yeah.
A current mayor of New York. So here we go.
Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, somehow said this week.
When you look at the totality of the year, if you had to describe it, and it's tough to do, in one word, what would that word be? And tell me why.
New York. This is a place where every day you wake up, you could experience everything from a plane crashing into our trade center to a person who's celebrating a new business that's open. This is a very, very complicated city, and that's why
Because
it's the greatest
9/11
city
can
on the
happen
globe.
here.
What? First of all, New York. That's 2 words.
Could experience everything from a plane crashing into our trade center to a person who's celebrating a new business that's open.
What kind of fucking answer is this, dude? Bro used 9/11 as a marketing campaign. Yeah, man, every day you wake up, look out your window, and you could potentially witness the most traumatic moment in the history of our nation. New York. You could get bombed on the subway. Or you could experience your friend opening a new pizza parlor. Flip a coin. Heads, you open a small business. Tail, an act of terrorism kills 3,000 people. The news anchor threw him a softball question, and instead of just hitting a single, he threw the fucking baseball bat into the crowd and killed a small child.
Wow. Yeah, that was a horrifically bad answer from beginning to end.
It struck me in like 3 different ways. One of which is the one he pointed. New York is 2 words, but outside of the lowest hanging fruit, he says, pick a word to describe how this past year's gone and what we've gone through. And it's just like, he just turns into robot sales pitch my city mode. New York. Like, and then he taught the things that he says about New York that has nothing related back to like how this last year has gone. Like he just went into robot mode. Like, this is the greatest city. It's like, it's no way related to what was fucking asked. But yeah, and then the cherry on all of it is dropping like offhandedly the 9/11. It's like
when you hear politicians are famous for just their non-answer word salad jumbled response. This is like if that machine got broken, you know, if you hear it, like most famously, at least in my point of view, is California's Governor Newsom, who you could ask him anything and he'll just turn it into like a rambling diatribe about nothing with just words about, you know, all of the greatest hits.
Yeah.
And he won't actually answer the question, but this guy sounds like if that Tickle Me Elmo got dunked in water and just short circuited.
Oh fuck.
I mean, you could go get yourself a slice of pizza, or you could be a victim of the Son of Sam.
Yeah. Seriously.
You go see the Statue of Liberty. You could jump over Niagara Falls.
Yeah. Whew. Yeah, that one fucking got me. I gotta do this one just on principle.
Don't you talk. Don't you.
Fucking Shaq just getting racked into a 25-foot tall Christmas tree by Kenny Smith. Okay.
That was definitely more of a visual.
Yeah. That was just for us. Yeah, I guess he's done that multiple times to him too. He just gets that fucking low man wins fucking leverage.
Into a Christmas tree. Dude, think about the power necessary in your hips to hip check a guy who's 11 feet tall.
Yeah,
into a Christmas tree.
Although, if you Art of War it and use all that against him, like if you like the way he caught him on like on the step coming up, and if you get like under the fucking like the liver,
big
what do they
tree.
call that? What do they call that boxing punch? I can't remember. It's like a
big tree,
uppercut.
fall hard.
What is it? Is it called like a shovel? I can't. Miles is probably fucking wringing his hands right now. It's a variant of an uppercut where you go for like, it's like a body uppercut, but they call it something fun where you like dig up like right in the fucking liver. On the liver. All right. Let's get into it here. Welcome to Waxing the Porpoise. We are back again, episode 83 this time, and tonight we are covering the Ghost Rider from 2010, starring Ewan McGregor, Pierce Brosnan, Olivia Williams, not to be confused with the Nic Cage classic Ghost Rider, nor the semi-famous early to mid-90s PBS kid show Ghost Rider, which was a fucking banger.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you watched that.
Oh yeah,
that was a great show.
I think we've discussed that in the past, like how hard and how like haphazard it was on TV, and like how to find it. And like I remember pouring through TV guides at a young age at like my grandparents, because they always had a guide,
Uh-huh.
I remember like peering through like where the fuck's Ghost Rider, and it would be on at really weird times, like 1:55 or on a Tuesday and shit like that. Like
yeah, my grandma had a pretty big cable package, so when I would go over there, we would watch like Match Game 75, you know, and then I remember Ghost Rider would be on like Noggin or some non-existent actual network, and I even as a kid I was watching it like this show is 20 years old at least. Where the fuck did this air? Like I don't think they ran the PBS commercials, obviously. So yeah, it was always perplexing. Like where did this show come from? This isn't a Noggin TV show from 20 years in the past, but
yeah,
that show was awesome. And I did see one funny piece of trivia that Nic Cage, who was in Ghost Rider, I think 2 years before this movie came out, was in the running for Ewan McGregor's role in this, and Ghost Rider, which would have been just endlessly confusing.
Yeah, how fun would that have been? No, Ghost Rider 2010. Right. Yeah, I'm glad they went with Ewan McGregor because I like him a lot, and I like him in this role too. And I don't know how Nic Cage would have played in it. I feel like it would have, by virtue of him in it, it would have had to be a different movie.
Yeah.
But the idea of Nic Cage and Roman Polanski in a flick sounds fucking just wild on its face.
Right.
Did I tell you that? I think I led with that this was a Polanski film, Pierce Brosnan,
Yes.
Ewan McGregor. Okay. I don't know if you've ever seen, probably not, The Ninth Gate with Johnny Depp.
I haven't.
It's a lot of fun. Also directed by Polanski. Has similar vibes as this. In that one, Johnny Depp plays like a rare book dealer. Like he's kind of like a PI for like rare ass books, and he comes across this dude who's like trying to like summon the actual devil. And there's these real archaic, like famed rare ass fucking books that were supposedly penned by the devil himself, or at least two of like the eight or nine books he has to get, whatever it is. So it's like him trying to track down all these books, and like fucking hijinks, kooky, like kind of scary, supernatural with the religious bent shit starts happening to him. It's a lot. It feels like it's a very Polanski type film. So it's got some red herrings and some fun reveals and backstabbings and intrigue. But yeah, as a reference point, anybody that, because I know this one, Ghost Rider, flies really far under the radar. That's probably one of the closer analogs I can think of, is if you've seen The Ninth Gate, you'll dig this one. But as usual, you got myself, Jim G. Baby.
They forgot I'm him. I'm the himulation. I got my DNA test back. Turns out I'm 100% Himalayan.
And of course, as usual, we have the usual suspect, Steve.
Balled so hard they thought I was a fucking nutsack.
How's it going, man?
Doing good. Happy New Year, I guess, as you hear this.
Yeah, I guess our last one, which we'll have, our last two episodes will kind of be on a different release schedule, but our last one we failed to say Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. So here it is again. And yeah, by the time you hear this, it'll be 2024. Hope you all had a safe and happy New Year, Christmas. Good luck in the future for this year.
I think 2024 is going to be wild. Just with the election and everything, it's going to be a goat rodeo.
Yeah, with everything that's carrying over from 23 into 24, and then what's on the horizon. And then have you seen all this shit about these billionaires building underground compounds that are all kind of lining up to be completed before winter of 2024?
Doesn't surprise me. I mean, the people with the most amount of money are trying to get the fuck off this planet, so maybe that was the cause or the idea before, and maybe it wasn't working out, so now they're like, all right, we need to just go underground.
Yeah. I mean, you hear about it all the time, and like Bill Gates buying up this farmland, and like I guess the Queen owns a shit ton of land in like Colorado and close by to the Denver International Airport, which has some wild shit associated with it too. But this one in particular jumped out because it was Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook fame, Meta, all that, Instagram. They did like one of those cutaway like diagram, like infographics that show what he's got building, like that goes into it's like a silo and it goes down and it's like this sprawling thing. It's all self-sustained, like with water cisterns and like water reclamation. Like it's what you would imagine one of the richer people in the world if they wanted to fucking just pony up for something
and pretend to be a human.
Yeah. It's got all that in spades. And then someone leaked like a bunch of work that Joe Biden is having done at his in like I can't remember what county in Delaware. And I think there's like 4 or 5 other names that I didn't look into that are supposedly by winter 24 will have underground compounds coming online as well. I know people have latched onto that new movie on Netflix that just came out. I don't know if you've heard about with Julia Roberts. The like I think it's called Leave the World Behind, and it was executive produced by the Obamas. Kind of weird. There's some weird imagery going on, and
things are going well.
I think it centers around like a cyber attack, and like there's like just all kinds of. I feel like it's in the past 5 years. There's been a ton of different like apocalypse kind of scenario, or like batten down the hatches kind of things. There's even a movie called Civil War coming out. Have you seen the trailer for this by Alex Garland? It's an A24 film with Jesse Plemons.
No, I don't think so. I feel like I would remember that. I will say,
dude, watch that trailer.
I was playing golf so I got paired up with a guy playing golf a couple weeks ago, and he works for a large utility company on the West Coast. And we were talking, and I think he's retired now, but we were talking about, I had just read this thing about these, they'll bring in like a think tank of authors and strategists to be like, if you were going to attack the United States, what would be the method? Be creative. People like a Tom Clancy or whatever before he's dead now. But so these groups would get together and strategize how they would take the country down. And this thing came out recently that the most probable and vulnerable avenue of attack would be going after the grid, because everything we do is just completely dependent on that. And so I was asking him about it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, every day we're getting countless amounts of attempts blocked into our network or their network or whatever." And he's like, "They're coming from all over the world, all day, every day, and it just takes one, person to get in there and just completely send us back to the Stone Age." So that's cool.
Fuck. Oh man, that's something I wish I could fucking neuralize myself right now for the past 35 seconds. Yeah, that sucks, dude. That's scary. We need a bunch more. We need to incentivize a ton of like white hats to fucking wreck shop. That's scary. That's like worse than asteroids. You think about like the chances of like the Earth getting struck, and we have like defense systems and like people monitoring it. If that were the case with like asteroids, we'd be done like instantly if there was that much. And for all this like cyber shit for just one to like get through and to really like cause some significant damage is fucking, I mean, it's just a matter of time then.
Yeah.
Because all the shit, all the interconnectivity and how reliant we are on the internet and all this shit, like this is a very new, like what, last 20 years, 30 years, maybe 35 years. Like,
well, and everything just gets more and more dependent on it too. So not great. Anyway, this movie's cool.
Anyway, yes. the Ghost Rider from 2010. What'd you think of this one?
I liked it. I feel like
with caveats.
Yeah, I feel like it underperformed. It had, I think it had the potential to be a lot better with just a couple little things really kind of just irked me, and I felt like it was unnecessary. The things that they did or didn't do that I think could have made it better. I think this is based on a book, and without knowing anything about the book, I would have to imagine it's better, because I just think they didn't really flush out everything that they could have. So I don't have a problem with them holding back the big reveal as long as they did in this one, because it takes you almost to the very end, like the very, very end, for them to be like,
yeah, basically the final shot.
Here's what's going on. I don't have any problem with that. One of my issues was with how they reveal it. I thought it was kind of clunky. And then also with a good reveal, like a Usual Suspects type of movie, when you rewatch it, there are breadcrumbs along the way where you're like, oh, okay, I can see this. This makes sense. In this one, it's like we just completely withheld all of the information until the very end. And I don't think they needed to do that. They could have just sprinkled in a couple little things or keyed in on, because I think there were a couple little ones where when we get the final reveal, if he would have flashed back and picked up on little hints here and there to then come up with
that
it,
would have been a nice recap.
Yeah, because the way he figures it out, I thought was kind of cheap and just like,
I did too.
The files are in the computer, you know. So I felt like that was kind of a wasted opportunity. I liked a lot about it, but then there was just one other part that I felt like was unnecessarily cornball, which we can get into in a bit. But overall, I liked it. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like this movie, you know, it's a thriller, mystery, whatever. I just felt like there was a weird kind of goofy undertone to it that I don't know if it's like a British sensibility or maybe like more European style dialogue or whatever, but I kept sort of just like smirking throughout the entire thing. Like I wasn't like engrossed, like, oh shit, this is a high octane thriller. I was like, this is almost like a borderline comedy. I don't know if you got that at all or if that's just me, but
this time I did pick out some more like adult, like, oh, that's witty kind of things, but I felt like they were pretty contained, and they were just kind of like, it was mainly like some sexual tension kind of repartee that was going on that I thought was kind of cute, but it wasn't too cute. And I felt like they weren't trying to be too on the nose. I thought the humor, the little humor that's in it, was pretty dry and didn't feel too out of place.
Maybe it was just me.
This time watching it, I've only seen this 2 or 3 times, and I'm like fresh off of just watching this. I think the tension and like the well, I guess maybe not tension, but like a sense of like foreboding, I guess, was present with me watching this. And this is another one of those films that it's got a lot of different people and a lot of different names, and it's kind of a, I don't know, it's not overly complex, but it kind of, it goes in circles on a few things. And yeah, like you said, like the final reveal, there's really no hint at that, unless I could see if someone was like in hindsight, thinking about it now, knowing that, I have the benefit of that, but looking at it, it's like she wears the pants. It's like she's very quick to like, and she even says, does he always take your advice? Like, of course, if he wants to be right or whatever, or like when he actually does the right thing, he listens to me.
Right.
You know,
well,
so
and then she's
maybe
like,
infer.
Well, and then she's like, well, he has until recently. Like, if he would have flashed back to that, like, okay, that's one little thing. And also when he confronts Pierce Brosnan, what's his character name? I forget.
Adam Lang.
Adam Lang. When he confronts him on the plane, Lang's reaction is very much like, nah, that's not me. So that could have been another one. Like, yeah, I believed his reaction of like, no way.
Yeah, maybe like just like a glance or like a look back at what's her name, Ruth, like a knowing, like maybe kind of semi-paranoid glance or something could have been in there. I could see it both ways, but I
well, that assumes that Lang knew, because he might have just been getting played the whole time.
Yeah, there is that possibility too, that he's just complete fucking just like, I'm here to party. Like, I got into politics for girls, and that's the truth. Like, because I think they infer too that he's fucking Kim Cattrall, his assistant. I mean, it's pretty overt actually when she Ruth says something about, why don't you just share a bag or whatever, like. Yeah. I don't know. This is it's a very slow movie, and I think every time I've watched it, the first time I watched it on a fucking whim, and it was like the perfect conditions and environment to take in a nice slow burn and be pleasantly surprised by it. So I think it hit me just perfect. But even with that said, I feel like this is like kind of it's definitely underseen, but I think it doesn't get enough respect because I think it is actually a really good flick. And this time watching it again, not remembering all the little final details that culminate, and I was like, oh yeah. So for me, it has a little bit of rewatchability because I completely forgot like the reveal and everything, and because it's jam packed within like the last 2-3 minutes. It just, and then you're done. It's over. It's like, whoa. And I totally forgot like all the papers. Like that's such a cool shot too of seeing him, and then he's out of the frame, and then he's got the big stack, and then all the fucking pieces of paper fucking going wild. And yeah, I really like that. But
so do you want to do like a quick synopsis, and then we can get into some of the finer points?
Sure. Yeah. Do you got something ready you want to hit us with, or I have a synopsis up too?
No, you probably have a more succinct one.
Okay. So basically, we start out. This movie starts really weird too. There's no opening credits, and it's like it feels like I was like, did I fuck something up? Did I fast forward? Because it feels like a middle of a scene shot. It's a really weird, like you see a ferry and like cars offloading, and it's almost just you're just fly on the wall watching these events unfold, and there's no like center point. There's no actors or no one's acting. It's just filming this ferry coming aboard. So we meet up with Ewan McGregor, who also is strangely not named at all. He calls himself his ghost or the Ghost Rider in various incarnations, but no one ever asks his name, or he doesn't offer his name. He doesn't have a business card, and he is credited as the Ghost, but he's a Ghost Rider by trade.
I did see, just real quick, I did see a little piece of trivia. This is so dumb. That Ewan McGregor said that his character is never named in the movie, but in his head, his character's his character's name was Gordon McFarquhar. What? If that's the name, I can see why they left it out, because that is awful.
Yeah.
It means you'll be psychically attacked.
Yeah, I don't like that name. I can definitely picture him as a Gordon, but yeah, whatever gets you into that headspace for acting. So he's got like his publisher is an agent who's played in a weird role for Joe Bernthal from Shane from Walking Dead fame, been in a bunch of other stuff, Punisher, Fury, fucking Fury. He's great in this. So he comes to Ewan McGregor with a $250,000 job to write the memoir, or to finish the unfinished memoirs of the former British Prime Minister, fictional Adam Lang, played by Pierce Brosnan. And Ewan McGregor is actually replacing kind of ominously, he's replacing Adam Lang's previous Ghost Rider, who died mysteriously in a drowning accident 2 weeks before, trying to finish his memoirs. And then all at the same time, some shit's popping off about war crimes centered at this Adam Lang, the former British PM. And he's got a lot of parallels to, and this is all stuff I researched, so it's not coming from me, but because I don't really know dick all about Tony Blair, although that he was pretty much in lockstep with Bush during the war on terror and getting into Iraq in 2003 and dealings with defense contractors and such like that. But I guess he's like an analog for Tony Blair, and even his wife Ruth, and some of the other people in his inner circle and his history, and the way. And I mean, you see, like Hatherton was the stand-in for Halliburton, defense contractor. Even the same fucking font and everything, like graphic design style.
And the woman who was playing the really bad facsimile of Condoleezza Rice.
Oh yeah,
it was just like, yes, we get it. You do not need to make it this obvious that this is the parallel you're going for.
Colin Powell.
Yeah, I also thought it was funny the egregious war crimes they're committing or accusing him of is, torturing 4 guys. It's like, those are rookie numbers, dude. I mean,
you got to pump those.
if you think that is the worst that's going on over there or over here, oh boy, you are in for a world of hurt.
Yeah. So he's been accused of like waterboarding and handing over some accused terrorists that turned out to be actually just UK nationals that had like naturalized and everything. So he wrongly turned them over, and they were sent to torture prisons. And so he's got some heat on him from the ICC, the International Criminal Court.
Yeah. This was one of my favorite scenes where so he's in the US now, and they're having the conversation about, well, you can't go back to England because they recognize the ICC or whatever. So they're having basically like an extradition conversation, which is so funny because Polanski, the director, famously fled to France, which has a non-extradition or doesn't have an extradition treaty with the United States, after drugging and R-wording a 13-year-old girl.
Mm-hmm.
So he's well versed in this area of the law.
You want to bring in legal counsel for the scene? No, I got it.
Yeah, it's like, no, I actually have it on this little laminated card I keep in my wallet at all times.
Yeah, it's like, what are the other countries? It's like Iran, Mozambique, North Korea. It's like, oh fuck, America it is.
Yeah. So he was originally arrested for drugging and raping 13-year-old girl, and then
please,
he's
earmuffs.
He's like, I'll plead guilty to a lesser charge of unlawful sex with a minor if you give me a probation only sentence. Which, Jesus Christ, the sweetest deal of all time. But this was the 70s. But I guess the night before the hearing, he got wind, probably because the judge looked at it and was like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm not going to accept this. And so he's like, all right, I'm just going to go to France forever.
Yeah, he still hasn't. I think he had a minor dust up in Switzerland.
Yeah.
In 2009. But he was able to get out of that. But yeah, it sucks, man, because I like this movie and I wanted to talk about it, and I just said fuck it because, like, morally, because I found out some stuff later on that, I mean, it's just hearsay and speculation, I think, because I don't have sources and stuff. But I've later come to find out that there's some unsubstantiated like report that one of the cops that was there at the night of the like Tate and LaBianca murders, he like kept it to his grave, like he took it to the grave or something. But he said that, or like many years later, he spilled that when they were there conducting the search and doing everything, that he found like a duffel bag up in like the attic, up in this weird like out of the way spot that had like homemade like tapes, like old like real kind, like before VHS tapes and shit, showing Sharon Tate getting like passed around, like raped, and then like younger girls, he says, that were on the
Sharon
film.
Tate, the Tate house, Polanski owned that house, right? Is that right? Or
I know there's some weird stuff about the housing, because originally they went to some record executive's house because Charlie Manson wanted like a record deal, and like the impetus for that was, I thought was that he wanted to go braze this guy and or kill him because he fucking like turned his nose up at Charlie Manson, because at the time Manson was like trying to get in with one of the Beach Boys. I can't remember which one. There's a weird musical kind of angle going in there. I think one of the houses was the wrong house. They were just like not related to like he had an old address or something for this record executive that basically told Manson, yeah, like you're shit, you're no good, fuck off.
Yes. God, I wish I could remember, because man.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but either way, yeah, I've come to find that out later, and like there's potentially some even more nefarious stuff, and even by like the specter of that kind of, it's like, ugh, fuck, man. If that's true, that sucks. But at any rate, back to the Ghost Rider. So Ewan McGregor's tasked with writing this, and then he's got this bomb of like these accusations going on, and then his publisher is like hitting him up, played really weird bit part for Jim Belushi.
Yeah.
In this, popping up as like his main publisher or whatever, and he's like, hey, can you get it done faster? And he's like, fuck all that like early days college year shit. He's like, we need to focus on this, like this war on terror scandal and everything. And he's like, I'm giving you 2 weeks now instead of 4. And he's like, fuck, all right. So this kind of sets him down a path of his research, and he's like really trying to write this manuscript in earnest, and he keeps he turns into like a de facto like a PI, like we're following like it's got shades of like a film noir, like a mercenary of sorts, like a white glove mercenary, you know. And he's just trying to get to the bottom of things, and he starts learning. I mean, I'm sure like out of the gate he was a bit uneasy knowing that he's taking over for the Ghost Rider who just died 2 weeks ago. And it very quickly, it starts stacking up like, okay, now there's all this political intrigue. You know, what did this guy get into? Did he maybe find something out that has to do with this current, you know, the war crime stuff? And that's what got him offed. So the deeper he goes, the wilder it gets. And I like the way it's paced. I can see for a lot of people being like, fuck, this is slow.
I didn't mind the slow pace at all. It just all comes down to, is the payoff worth the build up? But yeah, so he gets to the island where Lang lives. And this is
in it's supposed to be like, I think, a stand-in for like Martha's Vineyard or Cape Cod or some island off of Massachusetts.
Yeah, well, and the scenery was awesome. I saw,
and because of Polanski, they were all this is stand-ins. It's like Europe and different places in Europe and random spots in Germany that they tried to like do a 1-for-1 for Massachusetts.
Yeah, the piece of trivia I saw, which I just love the way it's phrased. It says, largely because Roman Polanski could not set foot in the United States, filming took place in Germany and Europe with locations adapted to look like Massachusetts. Largely because? Only because.
Wholly because. Yeah.
But yeah, so he's not staying at the compound. He's staying at a hotel when he runs into that definitely not CIA operative who's pretending to be the dad of a dead veteran.
Yeah.
And then when everything starts popping off with the media attention, then they move him over to the house, which is when he goes into his predecessor's room, the Mike Macara. And that's when he finds the envelope of the worst photoshopped pictures I've ever seen in my entire life.
They're pretty bad.
Which is sort of the jumping off point for him, diving down the mystery. But that soldier's dad was for sure an assassin sent there just in case by the CIA, I think.
Yeah, could be. I mean, it would explain him getting into the places he was able to get into, I feel like. Because he was very vocal at some of the petitions, and he had like a shit ton of signs like "You killed my son." And I mean, who knows though? My first gut was like, yeah, he was just a radical fucking dude, but that wouldn't. It seems to fit better if it were all controlled,
Yeah,
like
I mean,
before
would
this
it
guy
really
could talk.
surprise you if they sent somebody there because they see the situation is getting out of control?
And it's tied to the U.S. and it could potentially it's a potential risk to the U.S. as we come to find out that they're really just puppets, or it really was the wife that was the puppet the whole time. But
Oh, please.
Yeah, I guess we don't have to go through everything else. I mean,
Yeah,
it kind of spirals into like a cat and mouse, and like he's figuring out slowly but surely, and then at the end we find out, the relations to the CIA don't point back to the prime minister, played by Pierce Brosnan, as you would think, but his wife actually knew the CIA dude. When she was a Fulbright scholar or whatever, and that's when it dings for our ghost, and it just wraps up real quick with his ostensibly being murdered by car.
Yeah, he's dead for sure. I did think it was hilarious, his Google search of like, what was the guy's name?
Hatherton terrorism, like
Emmett plus CIA, and there's some article like, I think this guy's in the CIA, and then
ding ding. Supposed whistleblower in 1971 said he was actually co-opted to work for the CIA. It's like, damn, you put in 0.4 seconds of research and you got this major piece.
Yeah, and the CIA definitely wouldn't take that down if it were true.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was the one scene that I think bugged me the most unnecessarily was when he gets in the car and the GPS routes him to the professor's house.
Mm-hmm.
It's like all you would have had to do to make that a little more believable is him getting in the car like, I wonder where Mike was going that night, and looking through like the GPS history.
Yeah.
That's it. Just 2 seconds of like, I wonder where he was going, instead of like he's getting in the car and it's like, turn around. He's like, all right, I'm going to trust it, and just going. Like, why?
This time I noticed that too, and it did kind of irk me a little bit because, the way they play
it's
it,
just
like,
not necessary. Like,
it's like, go right, and he's like, no, the hotel's right here, and then he like has a conversation with the AI car, and he's like, well, okay, whatever, you're in control, Jesus. Yes, take the wheel, and goes for it. But yeah, they could have cinched that up so much cleaner if just adding another layer of his, detective thing, that his route that he's going. Like, oh yeah, where was he going last? Like, bing, would have taken 3 seconds to do that.
Yeah, or even just some corny line like, "What have you been up to?"
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so let me ask you this. There was a piece of trivia I saw about it was filmed and rated as an R, blah, 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 but they went down to a PG-13, so they edited out some F words. Did you notice any of those things the first time?
The first time? No, not at all. This time, for sure, yes. At least 2 or 3 fucks, like hard fucks by Pierce Brosnan, that they just don't even do anything with the lips. They just dub right over.
So I only noticed one where he's like, oh, sawed off. Or
That's
or
the one.
Yeah, and
That's
it's
where
like,
his
mouth
lawyer
clearly just said "fuck."
Yeah, that's the one where it's a big open shot with when his lawyer comes in and they're talking about the extradition shit.
Yes,
That's
because
where
he's like
because
yelling at the TV, I think, or
yeah, you can see his mouth movements really well. There's one that precedes that too, where he says "fucking," and I can't remember what they replaced it with, something like "dawdling" or some shit, some funky ass British in it. Yeah, I saw it in the trivia too. That was one. People are like, "This isn't geographically accurate," because when they go on the ferry, she's like, "single ticket or return," and it's like one way round trip in the U.S. They're like, "Get out of here with that garbage." It's like, God, I didn't.
wow.
That's the hill you're gonna die on. Okay.
What kind of fucking answer is this, dude?
That kind of reminds me, his inflection there gave me a little bit of Jim Brewer and the Pizza Hut.
Yes.
Like, dude, don't roll up on me.
Don't be taking my pizza, laddie. Why is this not a problem? I also will say that I was going into this a little fired up at the British already because I've been reading this book about Andrew Jackson during the War of 1812 and the battle for New Orleans. Really good book. Look it up. We're fucking pissed in this house at the British right now. So,
oh really? Okay. Yeah, I can't remember diddly fuck about the War of 1812. Is that where we got the Louisiana Purchase shortly thereafter, or was that later?
Shortly before. It's when England came back and they wanted round 2. And yeah, it's a really good book. Check it out. But yeah, that's when the British came back, burned down all of Washington, D.C., and then they were trying to come around and take New Orleans because if they could control the Mississippi River, they could control the westward expansion. And Andrew Jackson was just like not having that, and so he had to assemble Old Hickory. Yeah, he had to assemble like Tennessee volunteers, Kentucky militia guys, Native Americans, Creoles, freed slaves, like Haitian dudes, fucking pirates who were trading off the coast of New Orleans because it was such a lucrative market. So it's just like this ragtag group of dudes who were just like, across this line, you will not.
Fuck yeah, that sounds awesome.
Crumpet eating fucks. Dude, it is so much it is so much more interesting than I thought. I didn't know really anything about the battle for
dude, that's wild. I didn't even know we had a round 2 with the Brits.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting because New Orleans is a French colony originally, right? And then Florida was Spanish. And so the British had to come through Florida, through Alabama, into New Orleans. And so it's like the Americans are kind of new to the South. So they have to like convince the New Orleans, French, Creole, crazy mix of people down there. And then they had to go over to Florida and they're like, can we have this fort here? No. All right, we're just going to go ahead and take that from you. And
yoink.
Yeah, super interesting. Cool story. Fuck the British, even though I'm British.
Meryl, swing away.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. That's awesome. I had a quick question that I'm curious about. This is jumping ahead a little bit, but the wife of the Prime Minister, played by Olivia Williams, who I like a lot, actually. I forgot she was in this, but I think most people will know her as the muse from Rushmore.
Mm-hmm.
Max,
I think most people would know her as the wife in Sixth Sense.
Oh yeah, that's true. Damn,
but
I get more of her from Rushmore, but that's a good call.
I do too, personally, because I fucking love that movie so much. I don't care. I know.
Hey,
I
it's
know a lot of
okay.
people.
You're in the trust tree. You know we're at a proud Wes Anderson loving house here.
Yeah, and I heard his new one kind of sucked. I haven't seen it yet. I know
Yeah,
he's
I haven't either.
he's kind of hit or miss, but I mean Rushmore is undeniable for sure.
Oh yeah.
So it's funny you bring that up because I was watching this with the missus, and the first, I don't know, half an hour, it was bugging me because I couldn't place where I knew her from. And if you'll just allow me a moment to ramble.
Yeah, please.
It was driving me fucking nuts. And don't worry, this all circles back together. So the night before, we had eaten Chipotle, which I am normally against because the closest I've come to dying in the last 5 years is from eating Chipotle. And so there was a Chipotle embargo in our home for the last 2+ years.
Oh, yeah.
So because we had eaten Chipotle the night before, about 20 minutes into the movie, I had to run to the bathroom because my insides had turned to magma. And I was either going to die on the toilet or in the front room. So I decided to do it in the bathroom.
Did you wash your ass today?
So when I was in the bathroom, I was like, I may as well look up where I know this gal from. And so, yeah, it was like Sixth Sense. Obviously, Rushmore, love it. Still stands up. The third thing was she played a role in Friends, which you and I both love.
Yes.
And I don't think we've spoken since old Matthew Perry has died.
Oh, no, we haven't. Fucking total bummer, man.
So she played like Joey's little fling love interest when Ross is going to get married to Emily in England.
Uh-huh.
Joey hooks up with one of the bridesmaids who's like, talk New York to me, you know. Do you remember that part?
Is that her?
That's her.
Damn.
Okay, so here's where it comes together. My near-death experience happened in Chandler, Arizona. How fun is that?
Ah, man, I love it when a good story just comes together like that. Yeah, those two are related. Yeah, that's wild. I never would have picked her out. We actually just watched that episode like 2 or 3 nights ago, so it's fresh. That's crazy. I know she's been in some other stuff, but she does a lot of artsy fartsy stuff. I think, but
yeah, she's
I
great.
don't know. I've always like. I don't want to say like Sarah Plain and Tall. She just seems kind of plain Jane to me. Like I never like saw her and I was like, whoa, something about this movie, like the way she is and the way she cozies up to Ewan McGregor. I was like, fuck yeah. I was like, let's fuck. Like I got something about her in this film like really turns me on.
Is it like a Desperate Housewife thing? I do love the part where he goes into the bathroom and he's looking in the mirror and he's like, this is a bad idea. And then he comes out and then just immediately strips down butt naked. Like, well, guess that's the end of that.
I love that. I love that you brought that up. I made a specific note about that part because I thought it was so fucking funny. Yeah, like she's cozying up. They've had a few to drink. Her husband's across the pond in London or wherever the fuck, and it's just them two and like the security guard in the compound, and he knows where this is going. He's like, oh, I gotta run to the loo, and he looks himself in the mirror and he's like, bad idea. And then I love how it cuts to her now fully in the bed, like under covers, like,
do you mind?
Yeah, do you mind? And he's like, of course not. Just like instantly, like I love the editing, like, don't fucking do it. Bad idea. Oh, of course not. And he's just like, right. He's like in there. Yeah, he was down. So my question relates to that. So I was thinking, Olivia Williams, by the way, whoo, Lord, that was my note. So my question is, do you think she fucks Ewan McGregor to throw him off as pure distraction, or lull him into a false sense of security before just going Black Widow and having him clipped? Or was she just looking for the high hard one?
Okay, so this might be one of the few things that might be cleared up by our rewatch, because he kind of divulged before they fucked that he was onto the trail, right? Or was it after? It was before, right?
I think it was before. It was enough to where she could infer where he was going, or like the trail that he was down.
Yeah, if it's before, then she's for sure just honeypotting him. If it's after, then maybe she's just like a gal who wanted the company of a robust young man. I mean, it had to have been premeditated for sure. I mean, and that could have been one of the things that they flash back to, Usual Suspect style, where initially she just seemed like a lonely, desperate housewife, but he could have put things together where he's telling her that he's on to the scent, and she's like, oh, why don't we just fuck and forget about it? You know?
Yeah. Let them fuck.
Well, yeah, and then, so at one point later, when he gets on the ferry and then jumps off when he sees the guys are following him.
I love that scene, by the way. Fucking awesome.
Yeah, and she calls, and she's like, oh, Adam, looking for you, he wants to talk to you. And then at some point she's like, did you tell him about us? Like, bitch, why the fuck would I tell him about this thing that just seemed weird to me. Like, that seemed
maybe
like
she was wondering, like, am I going to have to kill him too now? Like,
yeah, it seemed like an unnatural thing to ask, because, I mean, the dude, he's not going to, it just seemed weird. So that could have been another thing that he flashed back to. Like, that was weird. Maybe she was trying to,
yeah, that's a good call.
Influence me or something. But
another part I like related to that is, like, right after they fuck, they kind of have a little tiff, and then he's like, I'm staying at the hotel. You know, he's like, we shouldn't have done this. And when he's leaving, there's that one security guard downstairs, and he's like, the security guard's like, morning, sir. Finished for the night, have we? And Ewan McGregor's like, fuck off. And he's got this big old shit-eating grin. Like, I love that line delivery. Finished for the night, have we? Like, oh man, he's like, you're a dead man. Just dick down the fucking PM. Like, PM's wife. Yeah, we go to Paul Emmett. I normally like that actor who played Paul Emmett, but I didn't like him in this role. He seemed very, like, I don't know, like a little too effeminate, like a little too, like, I don't know, there's something off about him. But it was there was some parts that were a little foreboding too, like when he's like, yeah, you want to take this right, or if you take the left, you'll go deeper into the woods and no one may ever hear from you ever again. Like,
yeah, I feel like
little things sprinkled in. Like,
I feel like this was part where, because it's a long movie, it's kind of a slow burn, but at this point, it seemed like they tried to speed it up a little bit by, like, showing you, oh yeah, here's a picture of them together, which if he was trying to hide it, he wouldn't frame it in his house, and he wouldn't let him in. And the line about, like, oh, if you go left, you might be lost forever. It just seemed really like, all right, we need to kind of advance this a little bit faster. And I mean, his whole character, I thought, was like, we're getting a little too overly complicated. I mean, it's kind of like what I said before. If this was a book, it would make a lot more sense, because they could really draw it out and everything. But I don't know. It wasn't my favorite character as well. And then when he shows back up at the party later, it's like, oh, you see that? Like, this is, I don't see this going down like this at all. And when they're talking the way, like, prisoners talk, where they're looking opposite directions, like on the yard, like,
yeah. Oh man.
You get a horse and live in the mountains someplace and don't bother anybody.
I did like, what about when he leaves Paul Emmett's house and he gets in the car and he looks back and he sees that unmarked black sedan like way down stopped also, and it starts up as he starts up, and the music kind of like sets the mood, and like he starts accelerating. This guy's tailing him. I thought that was pretty tense. I like the way they played that out, like trying to go for like a realistic feel. Like it felt pretty, like it didn't, we don't jump into like Jason Bourne antics. He's not fucking like fist fighting, like shaky cam and all this stuff, you know? I mean, he's got one guy.
He doesn't do like a J turn and then go 90 in reverse.
Yeah.
And then,
Fucking 3 Fast, 3 Furious and shit. Massachusetts Drift. And I really love that. I want to go back to that scene where he fucking pulls the fucking gypsy switch or the Louisiana switch on this dude. Like, so he goes up, he pays for the ferry. It's like the last ferry out to the island. So Martha's Vineyard or whatever. And he gets the car on it, and then he doubles back, hops over this, or he doubles back by going through part of the ferry, like the little dining car, like part of it, and like doubles back, comes over, jumps over the fence. So he's pulled the switch. So his car and the tail himself is on the ferry, and doesn't get wise until the ferry just pushes off the water. And then Ewan McGregor's back on dry land. And so he's in Massachusetts proper, I guess. I loved that, like, because it's real tense, you know. He's not super sleek. He's like tripping over shit and like fucking barely able to scale like this chain link fence and stuff. It felt like, you know, like an everyman kind of like in this situation. I mean, most people probably wouldn't have that wherewithal or like would have been able to get away that clean, but
I would have tried to hide on the boat, which probably wouldn't have been the smart thing to do.
Yeah, I can't say I would have had the clever thought to like double back, or the presence of mind to, like, he had to do it like boom boom, like if I'm gonna do this I have to do it right now. I'd like to think I would, but I don't think so.
What did you score on your marksmanship evaluation?
70.
40.
Yeah, I also probably wouldn't have stayed at the motel literally in the parking lot of the ferry.
Right there. Yeah, because what if this guy gets off like halfway and fucking decides to swim back, or gets like a fucking lifeboat off the ferry or something, you know?
Or maybe just picked up the telephone and was like, hey, this guy is without a vehicle. He can only go
he's
so
on
far.
Foot. Yeah.
It was funny when Ruth called and she's like, they found Mike's BMW on the ferry again.
So where do we go from here? Yeah, then he does his internet sleuthing, and like it really starts winding up at this point. Before kind of downshifting slightly, because you think like everything's gonna turn out, and then they get on a private. Oh no! I'm missing a bunch of shit here. So after the double back, I also like how you get this feeling. I felt this way this time of being like boxed in, like, so he's been working for Lang this whole time. He's finding out some nefarious shit. His predecessor might have been whacked by the same people he's writing this memoir for, or people connected to them. And then he gets so scared after being tailed that he fucking, earlier in the film, he calls this dude Richard Reichert, who he just happened to find the number on from his predecessor's research, and he didn't call him back.
Well, and Reichert's the guy who initially dropped the dime on Lang.
Yes, he's like kind of the tip of the spear on like getting the ICC to formally investigate him for war crimes. So I guess at the time he was just trying to play both sides, or he was just trying to write this memoir and get paid $250,000 and get out. And then the deeper he gets, he's unsure now about the Lang side. So then he's scared. He has really no options at this point, staying at that fucking hotel on the at the port. And so he buckles down and calls Reichert, who comes, picks him up. Kind of, you get some more exposition there, like of why he did it and the connections. You get a little bit more. But then Reichert's like, well, now you're working for me, you know, and then he gets the phone call mid discussion from Lang saying, "Hey, where are you?" He's like, "We're gonna come pick you up. Meet me at the airport in my private jet," you know. And then he's like, "Fuck!" Like he's questioning, like, what does Lang know that he knows now that he may have stumbled upon? Like, did Paul Emmett just give him a ring? Like, he's in a pretty fucking tight spot here. So now he has really no choice but to go along with Reichert as a source of security or safety. I kind of like that this time watching it. I felt like in his shoes in this moment, like, oh fuck, dude, it's coming at you both ways here. Like, what do you do? You know? Did you get that kind of sense, like that he's really pushed into a corner here at the end?
Expose himself too much, but then, you know, Reichert opens his jacket and he's like, I've been recording this whole thing, of course, so if you don't do what I'm asking you to, you're fucked either way. So
yeah, might as well stick with me, kid.
Well,
but then he gets on the plane and he immediately starts telling Lang everything he knows. Like,
well, and what's her name, Amelia, when he gets on the plane, he's like, oh, I've never been on a private plane before, and she's like, well, hopefully it's not your last.
Yeah, I like that too.
Just in case, like, his balls weren't close enough to the bandsaw.
Yeah, dude. I like her and him. I found a little bit of humor, like she's kind of catty towards him, like she's like, how are things going? He's like, oh, I think it's going pretty good, you know. He's like, he keeps calling me man, like he's broing down with him, and she's like, oh, he just calls that to people he forgets their names. Like, just
he's just trying to fuck her the entire time. Like, oh, I noticed you weren't wearing a wedding ring.
Yeah. He says something else too. I wrote down. He's like, what's he say? He's talking about like the manuscript and how it always has to stay on site. And he's asking questions about the flash drive. She's like, am I going to take you with you? Do you have anything on you or something? He's like, you can search me if you'd like, you know, like just dropping like little things like that. And another one I like too is when he's hungover. He gets fucking knackered that one night, and he wakes up and he looks like shit. And she's like, oh my God, are you ill? And he's like, no, I'm aging. This place is Shangri-La in reverse. I like that snappy comeback. Like, he looked like dog shit. Like he needed a little hair of the dog to get through.
Dude, I thought the thumb drive, I thought that would play a bigger role.
Yeah. Because
they showed it a couple times, and then when he finally grabbed it and plugged it in, the whole compound went on lockdown, and then just never mentioned ever again.
Well, they did explain that away, like that it was like, oh, it's random security alert we run once a week or whatever.
Yeah, but I felt like they could have done more with that.
Yeah, it seems like they could have like made a copy, or he's like, no, I got a copy here. If something happens to me, it'll fucking auto release, you know, to the London Times and like this place and this place, like as a failsafe or something.
Like they were testing him, or
like you try. It shows here
like
you
tried, like they booby trapped him or something, and
tried to fucking Shanghai him, as Dick Dog would say.
Gustafson straight as a grizzly's dick.
So then he has a conversation with Lang on the plane, and this is where I was starting to not like figure anything out, but Pierce Brosnan's character, I mean, I believed that he was like, you're talking to the wrong guy, you know, the way he's like, you actually believe that? And then he started screaming at him, and I bought that. I didn't think it was like a guy who's trying to cover up. Like, come on, what do you mean? I would never do that.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, I totally bought. I was like, oh, okay, he's just a pawn, just like any other number of people in his cadre. Like he's not the tip of the spear. He's not the tip of the pyramid here.
Yeah, so then they land, and then Lang's like, when we get back to the house, we're going to have a meeting, shot through the head immediately by certainly not CIA agent guy who's dead veteran's dad.
Got your ass.
Got your ass. Is there any part of you that thinks that they were trying to actually take out Gordon Farquhar. Probably
no. I didn't think that.
I mean, because they took him out later.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
Lang has been controllable all along. Who's to say he wouldn't be controllable still?
Yeah,
but then again, he was never under such jeopardy. That's why I think it was CIA. Like, he's a kite at this point, which I know you like that term.
I do love that. In the wind.
Cut him loose.
I love that. I don't know. I still feel like that was just like rage-filled dad, like just a vengeance.
Yeah.
Like honor killing. But I could be wrong.
No, you're probably right. I was just looking for something that probably wasn't there.
I did find it kind of convenient, or like, did they take him out? Like did would he have not been taken out if he didn't pass that note up to Ruth at the end? Like, I know you're the actual fucking puppet master, the actual puppet here, and you were calling the shots.
Well, okay, I think we should back up a tiny bit, because this is where we get to the really fucking stupid part where the book gets published and then they have the release. And so...
Yeah, like a junket.
Yeah. God, you love phrases. So the ghost shows up to the book release with the original manuscript to give to Amelia. Like, here's a gift. Not exactly sure why. And then she tells him...
he was playing the long con. He was still trying to get
Still trying to fuck?
Oh, yeah.
All right, that makes sense. And she's like, yeah, we couldn't release it because it was a national security thing because of the beginnings, which proceeds to lead us into the corniest, I think, like, the beginnings? And then he starts feverishly, like...
Yeah.
So then
when you said... when you mentioned that at the beginning of the cast, I was like, yeah, I did not like that also. Like how quickly and precipitous. He's like, oh, of course, the first word from every page. Of course.
Feel like they could have done it less unbelievably. So yeah, then he goes through and he maps out the first word of every chapter, which reveals the secret that it wasn't Lang, it was his wife, who was the CIA agent behind everything. And so then, for some reason, he decides to write all that down in a note and pass it to 157 people to pass up to her. Meanwhile, he does not leave. He decides to stand there and drink some champagne, waiting for her to read it and be shocked and look at him. And he's like, I'm right here. But the reason why I think
I did kind of like that toast, though. Like, just like, got your ass.
Yeah, shit. I'm fine with that.
Not a smart move for him, though.
I mean, you could argue he knew he was dead either way. And
that's, I think, he's just them saying fucking sit on it.
And I think the argument for that would be when she reads the note and she goes over to Emmett, like, probably saying, we need to take this guy out. His posture is kind of like, oh, don't worry about him. We've already got that planned for this evening. Don't worry about that. And then he goes outside, crosses the street. They don't show it, but he gets hit by a car and the pages go everywhere. I like the ending. Didn't mind it at all.
Yeah. Because if they didn't have that planned, it would call into question even more. It's like, oh, wow, how convenient. You just happen to have one of your agents outside this venue in that same unmarked black car, ready to four-wheel him over.
Well, and it is interesting because he wasn't invited. He was the +1 for Amelia. So maybe they just had the car hitman there in case.
Maybe it was an opportunity, or just like a convenient coinkydink that they had someone there. Yeah. I was wondering if like they had someone outside and what she said to him right there created the call to the on-hand hitman, or like you said, if they had that planned and the way it unfolded was just fortunate for them. Like, oh, here he is. Crime of opportunity. I'm going to run him over. He's in the fucking street.
Yeah.
Shit like that too. It's like, why are you meandering in the middle of the fucking street? No one does that, especially in a big ass city. But that was just like a little OCD gripe. It's like no one traipses around the middle of the fucking road. Like you couldn't have been more in the middle of the fucking road.
It was a suicide.
Could I be wearing any more pants?
Any more clothes? Is what he says.
Is that what he said?
That is not the opposite of taking somebody's underwear.
Lunges.
Maybe if I wasn't going commando. I did find a funny review. It's only funny because the guy's publication is bangitout.com.
Wait. You kind of roboted out. What's the source?
Bangitout.com. I don't know anything about it. But the review just says
that is awesome.
Yeah. Jordan Hiller at bangitout.com says, I would not put the narrative conceit the Ghost Rider perpetuates in its final moments past a doped up high school sophomore in a screenwriting elective.
Oh God.
Ouch.
That's harsh, bro.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was way more clever than that. That's so pretentious.
In the final moments is what he's saying.
Wait, what do you mean?
He's saying I would not put the narrative conceit the Ghost Rider perpetuates in its final moments past a doped up high school sophomore in a screenwriting elective. He's saying like the final reveal is like corny.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's way more clever and well done than that. I think that's horseshit.
I think it's pretty corny.
Really?
Yeah, the beginnings. Oh, not the beginning.
Well, yeah, that. But like the actual payoff, like she's like, oh, and he's like, yeah, and then he gets murked. Like I liked that sequence. Like I wasn't expecting it, and I liked the kind of like, whoa.
I have to assume our friend Jordan Hiller over at bangitout.com and their reputation for the utmost journalistic integrity. I think he's talking about the reveal moment where he puts it all together. I think.
Yeah, that I can agree on. Like, was kind of hastily is kind of thrown together, or it's super convenient that he just happened to like figure all that out and it all lined up perfectly. I for sure feel like that's contrived, but beyond that point, like the way the film unfolds and finishes, I enjoyed. There's a funny piece of trivia that I saw, and I didn't go back and look, but it says the end title designer forgot to use punctuation when writing the end credits. This resulted in all assistants that worked on the film being listed as ass designer or ass painter, etc.
Ass clown.
What do you think about that, head fuck?
Where does Bad Santa rank on your list of
holiday or
Christmas movies?
Christmas movies? I'd say top 10. I don't know if I would go so far as top 5, but I'd definitely go top 10. Maybe top 15, depending on the way the wind blows. But yeah, it's definitely a top tier. So I think I really was like plumbing the depths for looking at that kind of stuff, or looking for that kind of stuff this year. And there's a lot more. I mean, even excluding like all your dime a dozen Hallmark and like, you know, bullshit Netflix, you know, slapped together holiday for a visitor, or, you know, just shit like that. Those don't count. There's still tons of shit out there, but Scrooged is always going to be top tier. I feel like that one's pretty timeless for me. Any of the, I like the A Christmas A Christmas Carol, just in general. I really like the George C. Scott version, but I like Michael Caine too with the Muppets.
Oh my God.
It's fucking awesome, man. It's great because, dude, Caine brings it the entire film. He does not fuck around. He doesn't act like he's acting with Muppets at all. But George C. Scott is pretty fucking godlike in Christmas Carol. But I don't know. What's your top 3 or top 5 or a few hitters that you really
That's
enjoy?
tough. I've got to put It's a Wonderful Life at the top. I do love that movie a lot.
It's a great movie.
Black and white version is way better. The color one is fucking weird. I don't abide by that.
I don't know if I've ever seen the in color.
It's weird. Don't do it.
Huh. Okay.
God, Home Alone has got to be up there.
Yeah.
It's tough. The Santa Claus, it's got to be up there. I mean, Christmas Story, it's got to be up there too. It's tough. It'd be too tough to do like a top 5 or top 10.
Yep. It would.
I've never seen Christmas Vacation. I don't know if that upsets you.
It doesn't upset me, but you should watch it. It's a great time. And it'd be even more fun probably at an older age. Never have seen it before because I'm sure it'll become a yearly rotation for sure once you watch it.
We got to bring Dick on for that one.
To the stable.
Merry Christmas, shitters full.
Yeah. There's so many iconic parts. Dude, the Santa Claus, we were just watching that. One line that always escaped me, but this time fucking had me rolling, was at the beginning when he's asking like, where are you guys going? Like, cause Charlie spends the night with him for Christmas or whatever. And she's like, all right, honey, we got to go. And he's like, oh, where are you guys off to? You know? And she's like, oh, we're going celebrating at Neil's. And then Tim Allen's like, it's like, oh yes, Christmas at the Pound. Oh, like just like the way it rolls off his tongue. I was like, dude, that's hilarious. Oh fuck.
Do you want to guess the IMDb rating of The Ghost Rider?
I did not peek at it, but I would guess it's somewhere. Damn, this is one I could see people rating like a fucking 5.6 or like a 7.2.
Just IMDb. We'll get to the Rotten Tomatoes in a moment.
No, that's what I meant. IMDb. I meant I could see it being between like a 5.6 and like a 7.3. But I'll call this one I'll call this a 6.8.
You said it before, 7.2.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah. Okay, so with that knowledge in hand, what do you think the Rotten Tomatoes critic and audience score is?
I feel like these have to be dog shit. I'm going to go like a 44 audience and a 65 critic.
Polanski, if you want to reconsider.
So it's higher?
Yeah.
I'd maybe go
65. You've got to consider the child rapist bump.
I'll go 65 audience, Project 86 critic.
So 84 with the critics, 70 with the people.
Wow.
Pretty close.
Damn. That's crazy. Yeah, I feel like this is for sure one of Polanski's lesser known films. And then in general, I feel like this just kind of got buried under a lot of stuff because no one ever really talks about it. But I'm sure that's some of the Polanski effect for sure too. But yeah, it's a fun, clever story.
Yeah, I'd recommend it.
It's especially the way it hit me too was like, this is like a perfect, like maybe hungover or like semi hungover, just kind of being lazy. Like you just finished mowing the lawn and you're just like, I'm pooped. And you just poop out on the couch for like 2 hours and watch this. It'll either give you a really good nap or it'll just be a nice, relaxing watch.
Yeah, very good for a rainy day.
Yeah, that too.
The scenery is awesome, even though I think most of it is green screen, but
yeah,
love a good,
I think all the shots
love a good cold beach scene.
Yeah. Yeah, I think all the scenes within the compound were green screened, and like that compound thing was just like a studio that they built, but some of the exteriors, I wonder where they shot some of the exterior stuff, because it looked like I bought like Massachusetts beach or like an East Coast beach with like those like that tall weird grass that sprouts up, and the fucking those little fences everywhere, they're like teetering and like sprawling around everywhere, that you kind of, those picturesque ocean vibes. I'm a big fan of that too. We both are, of like a cloudy, overcast coastline.
Love a cold beach.
Yep. Yeah, that's one thing I miss for sure about Northern California, is being that close to that stuff. But it gets pretty goddamn nippy at Lake Michigan too, man.
Oh, I bet.
Cool. All right. Well, that's been the Ghost Rider. Check it out. Definitely a deep cut, underseen, underrated gem, but it is actually, I'm still shocked at how highly rated that is.
Baseball.
Next week, I don't know. I think we'll probably just play it mystery again. But there are a couple that I'm really excited to talk about coming up. One of which is called Under the Silver Lake, which was the follow-up film of David Robert Mitchell, who was famously the director of It Follows. It's a very different film, if that means anything.
So it's good.
That's what I'm looking. It's really good. I liked it a lot. It's kooky. It's definitely a unique, kind of a singular kind of film that I'm looking forward to talking about. Remember, we were talking about Return to Paradise a while back. Joaquin Phoenix, Vince Vaughn, Anne Heche. They're in like Malaysia, or they're in some Southeast, maybe Singapore, and one of them gets fucking rang up on charges. And like there's like a thing they have to like go back, and if they're willing to like serve a little bit of time, they'll spare his life. That's the whole movie. That's a really good one. That's one on the horizon. Have you ever seen Devil in a Blue Dress? Takes place in like the 40s with Denzel, Don Cheadle, film noir. It's really good. Along the lines of like LA Confidential.
I'm in.
From 94, Denzel was like in his prime time. Yeah, so we'll think about it. Next holiday one too, I was thinking about, I definitely want to do So I Married an Axe Murderer for a Valentine's special.
Okay. Yeah,
it'll be a fun
I'm down.
one. So yeah, we'll see if we can get some special guests on upcoming for that. Yeah. So we'll see what we're watching next week. We'll find out. You'll find out along with us. If you want to reach out to us, got any questions, comments, concerns, wax@waxingtheporpoise.com. You can email us. Hate mail is welcomed. We also have Instagram is @waxingtheporpoise, and X, Twitter is @waxingtheporp. Please give us a review on Apple, particularly. Helps us out the most. If you haven't, 5-star ratings are welcomed. Yeah. Appreciate y'all. You got any final words, Steve Dog?
Nope. Good to be back doing the pod.
Word. Hell yeah.
This feels weird. Are you sure this is legal?
I don't know. It's fun though, isn't it?
Somebody put sugar in your gas tank.
Didn't I tell you to call me Big Earn?
Bye.